In this video, we're going to take a look at the KiloSkier AeroCloud sleeping mat and ultralight inflatable pillow. If you're interested, keep watching. All right, just before we get started, a couple things. First, I want to thank KiloSkier for sending out the AeroCloud sleeping mat as well as the ultralight inflatable pillow so that I could share them with you. Now, the backstory is they did offer to send this to me quite a bit of time ago, but I held off on doing the review until I could get some experience using them, of course. So Gina and I are at Kouchipakwak National Park in New Brunswick, Canada. We've been here for 2 weeks, and I have been sleeping on this pad and another pad, just alternating night for night so that I can get one experience using each of them, but also they're very similar pads in design, and I just wanted to see if there were any differences between the two of them. So it may not be a long-term review, but I think 2 weeks is enough to give you my experiences and my thoughts on them. All right, let's get started. I've put the AeroCloud sleep mat back in its stuff sack so I can show you how it inflates as well as the ultralight pillow as well. Now, just a couple of things. I'm going to be putting all the specifications for the AeroCloud as well as the pillow in the video description so that I don't have to take the time to do it now. The big thing to know right here is the weight of the pad itself is 24 ounces or 688. I'll give you the length and dimensions once I get it inflated, and I'll do the same thing for the pillow itself. So let's get started with this. So everything you need is in the stuff sack, and that right there is the inflator bag, which is common to a number of pads these days. Fine, where's my end for the pillow? All right. Flip it over so that the valve is on top. It'll start to inflate on its own anyway and kind of smooth itself out. So the inlet valve itself is a two-piece affair. Let me give you a close-up on that. So it is a two-piece affair. So to inflate the pad, you first pull the top cover off, and that's where the inflator bag will be attached. But if you want to deflate the bag, then you would pull both of them off and then just rapid air dump out of it. So you want one closed, one open in order to do this. Now, I am doing it here in front of my tent on these two ground mats just to kind of keep it a little bit clean. You want to do that as much as possible, keep any grit and dirt off of it. So the inflator bag could be its own stuff sack, but in this case it is not, and I'll show you how these things are. First, there is just an attachment point there. Now, to use these inflator bags, you blow into the top right up here. Now, the trick is you don't blow face first into it. You can actually blow from about 8 to 10 inches away. Yes, you are introducing your breath into it. For anybody that is concerned about introducing moisture into their pad, then sure, why not? Use one of the small pumps that are available on the market today. But I'm going to demonstrate this because honestly, I don't see that as a big concern myself, the moisture issue. All right, so just blow into it like this. Now, what's happening is, yes, your air is filling it up, but I don't have that much air in my lungs. So what's happening is my air, as I breathe in through the top, is actually pulling air in from around of it to help kind of fill the bag up a little bit extra. Roll it over a few times and push the air into the mattress. This is not a fast process, by the way. I think it takes something like 8, maybe 10 different attempts to get it filled. What I'll do is, because this does take a bit of time, is I'll continue to do this on camera so you can see the whole process, but I'll speed this section up. All right, that's all there is to filling it up. I didn't count. You can probably watch and tell me how many times I did. Okay, there is the inflated mattress. Now, quickly, let me give you the dimensions of this, and then we'll talk about its technology and how it works. So the unit, as I mentioned, 24 ounces, 688 grams. The dimensions in length is 79.5 inches, 200 2 centimeters. The width is 26 inches or 66 centimeters, and the height, the depth of the pad is 4 inches or 10 centimeters. Okay, so this is the regular version, and there is an extra large version, of course, if you want one even bigger than this, but this is plenty big for me, honestly. Okay, now as far as the technology goes in this pad, it is kind of interesting. It's an inflatable pad, but as you can see, it has almost like individual air cells. They're not, but what they've done at the points, let me bring this up a little closer and I can show you, is each of these points is RF welded to an identical point on this other side. Now, they don't go right through and touch each other. There's actually like a tube connecting each of these small points to the one on the bottom, so that there's always an air gap. It's not any through contact from one to the other that might transmit cold up through. So those are RF welded all the way across, and they provide kind of like almost individual cells. Not quite, because there is a continuous movement of air throughout the whole unit, but it does help in that sense to keep them separated, but give you pockets of air that don't get that, how should I say, almost like seasick feeling that you can on some that have either longitudinal or lateral tubes running through it. Now, a couple of points. I have a stool here I'm going to sit on to talk about this. All right, so what's unique about the AeroCloud is that the insulation is kind of done in a clever way. I don't think it's unique, but I think they've done a good job of doing this. Running down the middle is a mylar reflective surface. So right in the center of that 4 inches is a mylar reflective surface that is reflecting heat back up. So this would be the top of the pad. This is important, by the way. There is a top and a bottom to these things. When the writing is up, you're on the top. And when the writing is down, that's not the way you want it. You want to have it on the writing on the top, because the mylar pad is reflecting upwards, but there's also a very thin layer of a polyester type insulation that runs in a mat right down through the whole length. So that's between the mylar and the top of the blanket. If you flip it over, you're not going to get a full effect of the R value that this is rated at. By the way, this is rated at an R5 insulative value. Now, those numbers don't mean a whole lot unless they are verified. And I could not find any information on the KiloSkier website to tell whether or not this is verified, meaning an independent tester verified this to be an R5. Now, I'll talk more about my experience using it in a few moments' time. So if it was an R5, this would be a good 3-season bag. This should take you from late fall, from what should we say, early spring right through to late fall. It definitely won't take you into the winter with an R5 value, but most people will find this comfortable through the shoulder seasons and the summer, of course, and will give you enough insulation. If you did want to use this because you like the comfort of it, and it does have a lot of comfort, if you wanted to use this, you can double this up with, say, a foam pad either on top or on the bottom. Actually, I'd run it on top of this just to get the foam. So a thin foam pad would jump the R value up tremendously on this. So I think I just wanted to point that out there. Without that verification, I can't tell you it is a true R5. But what I can say in using it here at Kujbekwak National Park is that I was plenty warm. And you would think so in midsummer. We're right in the hottest time of the summer up here. So I had no issues with being cold on top of this. I slept right on the surface, shorts and a t-shirt. I didn't find it overly slippery, over hot, overly sweaty, or anything else. It seemed to be comfortable. Now, if you wanted to, you could throw a blanket or something else on top of this just to get a little bit more comfort. That would probably actually bump the R value up a little bit as well. And I slept with my sleeping bag open like a top quilt. It's a rectangular sleeping bag, but I used it in top quilt style because it was just too hot and too awkward to keep zipping and unzipping when you had to get in and out of it. Now, what you want to know is about the comfort in this, because that's what it is all about. This is, and here's what I say, I don't want to say it is a clone of the Sea to Summit Ether Light pad, but it's very, very similar. Let's put it that way. The construction design, the basic functional design is very much identical almost. They both are using that RF welding technology and tubes that run through from top to bottom, and they both have this same air cell, kind of sprung air cell effect on them. And I think that's one that speaks very well of the Sea to Summit design, and the fact that Kilos copied that, or at least took inspiration, we'll say, from it, that it's available in this unit as well. Now, having said that, I do have the Sea to Summit, and I've been using that and this over the last 2 weeks here at Kujbaquack every night, just switching back and forth, kind of doing a side-by-side comparison. And what I can tell you is that they're both comfortable. They both kept me warm, and they both appeared to be of very high quality. I will say that the Sea to Summit does appear to be a little bit better made, and I don't know how to actually describe it. It just feels like the materials are a little bit more premium than they are on the Kilogear AeroCloud. Now, that is in no way a condensation on this, or a comment, a criticism of this pad, because what I've found is that it has not given me any issues. It has not leaked, it has not punctured, the material still feels very durable. Now, 2 weeks of sleeping on it is not really long term, but I think it's enough to get a good impression of it. But when I'd switch back and forth, I can't say that I felt really any difference in comfort sleeping on the two of them. It may be just in the long-term durability, and even that I can't guarantee that there is going to be that much of a difference. But what I can say is, this pad is almost $100 cheaper than the Sea to Summit. So take that into consideration. If you don't need the extra value that maybe the Sea to Summit has in it, but you still want the comfort the Sea to Summit has, then I think this may be a good one to look at for sure. The other thing is that the Sea to Summit has a R value of 3.5 or 4.5. I'm not quite sure. I can put it in the show notes below. But at least I know that theirs is verified. I'm not sure if the technology in terms of insulation and reflective materials is the same between the two pads, but I can speak to this one. I'll speak to the Sea to Summit when I do that review separately from this. Okay, so that's this pad. Overall impressions are high. It works extremely well. It's comfortable. Yeah, really no negatives to say about this at all. Let me put that out of the way and bring in the pillow. So the pillow is an inflatable pillow, hollow core chamber pillow, but it looks a little big. I've got other pillows by other manufacturers that are about 3/4 the size of this, and I wondered, why does this one have to be so big? Well, it starts off looking the same, but what you'll find out very quickly is that this has other features, or added features, that other pillows of similar design don't have. First off, I call this a, I don't know, dog bone or bow tie type design. So you can see there's a curvature on both sides of it. That allows it to kind of wrap around your neck and your head a little bit better, and you can use it in either direction. But here's the thing. It has a layer of insulation on the top face of this that actually not only feels very good and gets away from that face-on nylon kind of a feeling. It's a nice soft material, but it seems to deaden that sound that sometimes those hollow balloon-style pillows have. And it turns out to be a much more comfortable pillow to sleep on as a result. On the back side of it, now I'll talk about the strap in a moment. Let me just fold it out of the way. But on the back side of it, there is another layer, and it's actually a stretchable pocket, which means that if you want it, you could stuff another shirt, sweater, pair of pants, whatever you want in here to get a little extra height. Because to be honest, if you're a side sleeper, this pillow by itself is probably not going to be enough for you to sleep on, but it wouldn't take a whole lot to raise it up to that height that you'll need, so you can do that. Now, there's the bladder of it, and it is a reinforced nylon. It's rubberized on the inside, all sewn together, so it's not likely to be punctured. This does add to the weight a little bit. Let me see, I'm going to grab my notes here. All right, first, before I give you the dimensions, the weight, and everything else, let me just inflate this pillow so you get an idea of what it looks like inflated. So the valve on this is just a single valve. Now, it has a spring-loaded center here. You can blow in and without air coming back out, but if you want to deflate it, you have to press and hold the button in. That may be a bit of a con, because I have had other pillows where it kind of, press once, it locks, press two, it opens, and then you can deflate it rapidly. Again, not a big deal. So quick inflation. A little better if I hold it like this. Okay, so now this is fully inflated. Reality is that I probably would not use it fully inflated. It is firm when you get it to that, and you like that. But the nice thing is it's very easy to adjust the inflation level by just spot pressing that button to allow a little bit of air out of it to get to the comfort level that you're looking for. So now you can get a better look at that wishbone, bow tie type of, what do I call it, dog bone or bow tie kind of a shape for it. Now, I spoke about the strap on the back. So there is an elasticized strap. I'm going to wrap it around the AeroCloud mat in a minute, and it has quite a bit of stretch. So even this is quite a wide pad that I'm going to put it on. Even so, this is at its maximum. It is adjustable, so you can make it a little bit shorter if you have a narrow pad or a thinner pad that you want to wrap it around. So that's at its maximum. It does have quite a bit of stretch, so it does go around, and it has a side release buckle as well, so that you can wrap it around that way. I haven't found the need for doing that. The only thing I'd like to say is it would be nice if it was a little longer yet, because it's quite a bit of a stretch to get it around this pad, as you'll see in a moment. Now, I did say I'd give you a few specifications. Again, all of this is repeated in the video description, but the weight of this, while it's in its package, comes in at 0.4 pounds, 175 grams. So it's very lightweight. Now, I know some people are going to say, but yeah, you really don't need that. All you really need is to take your jacket, your pants, and that type of thing, and just form a pillow out of the clothing that you're not wearing. Yeah, you can. You can do that. I'm not going to say that it's not a good idea. It certainly saves weight, but not much weight. And honestly, sleeping comfort is all important. So for me, to carry a pillow is all important, because it makes a huge difference to getting a good night's sleep. And I can't imagine there's anything more important for you if you're spending 1 or more nights, and for us 2 weeks out here in the woods or away from the comfort of your bed at home, is getting a good night's sleep. Makes all the difference to your performance the next day. So yeah, okay, I'll put all the rest of the specifications in the video description. Let me just move the mat over so you can see what it looks like installed on the mat. All right, find myself a little bit of space here. So, like I said, you can do this one of two ways. That one I do this time by using the strap, wrap it around underneath, bring it up on the other side, and snap it back in. There we go. Okay, so you can see where it kind of squeezes in on the pad on the side, and that's the only reason I'm saying that we'd like to have the strap just a little bit longer. It works, it hasn't caused an issue, but you just maybe a little bit longer, and then you could wrap it around without getting any of that pinching. And especially if you're going to be putting anything inside the pillow or just loose underneath the pillow to get the height, it just means it's going to squeeze the pad in a little bit further. Otherwise, I would say it's perfect. Okay, I think I've shown you enough. Let's wrap this video up. All right, let's wrap this video up with a few closing thoughts on the Keelos Gear AeroCloud sleeping mat. So I have tested a few other mats out. Like I mentioned, the Sea to Summit Ultralight is the other one that I've been comparing this one against for the 2 weeks that I've been here in Kujabaquak. But I have tested a few others, and what I'm finding is that this design with the individual air cells, now again, they are all connected, but they do act like individual air cells or spring cells or whatever else you might want to call them, do make a difference in the comfort. I have tested mats with tubes running lengthwise as well as tubes running across, and the running lengthwise isn't bad. The ones that run across don't seem to do very well, because the air just seems to move from side to side and you feel like you're laying on top of a balloon. I know that's a bit exaggerated and you may not have the same experience, but compared to a bed at home, that's the experience I have. You don't get that with this, because as you move from side to side, especially if you toss around a lot in your sleep like I do, and you're a side sleeper like I am, then what you find is that when you move from side to side, you get very little of that movement, that rock and roll movement that you get with other designs. So now you don't get that rock and roll movement, if you will, with tubes that run long, but what I find is they have, how should I say, almost like ridges that you can feel in your back. So, again, not a deal breaker with those styles, especially if you have a sleeping bag and the pad or this bag is on the bottom. And it does seem to level that out a little bit. But if you like to sleep with a top quilt, which is my preferred system for when I'm out camping, then this style of bag it is without question a bag. This style of sleep mat is without question the most comfortable of those designs. Now, just a few closing thoughts is, as I mentioned, it's only been 2 weeks and it's been alternating nights, so it's not a long-term review, but it is long enough for me to get a good impression of not only its functional value, if you will, but its durability and comparing it with a more expensive mat. What I can't say is how long this will last in the long term, but I have no reason to think this won't last you. If you take good care of it, put something underneath it, keep it clean, take good care of it, I think it should last you plenty long. The best thing I can say about it is it's high value. It's still not inexpensive, but at $100 less than the Cedar Summit, you know, it's a good alternative for somebody that doesn't want to or doesn't have a need to put out the big money for the other one, because this one certainly seems to do well. Now, the only other thing I can't say about it is what it would be like in cold weather. Does the R value actually live up to its claims? Now, I'm going to be using this in colder weather into the fall, but I won't know until that time. So what I can say though is after more use, if I come up with anything negative to say about it in terms of, you know, whether it lives up to its R value or not, then I'll come back with a second video there. All right, enough about the pad. Now let's just talk about the pillow for a moment. I actually can't say enough good things about the pillow. It's a little bit bigger packing it away than some of the other pillows I have, but this is a nice shape for sleeping with that curvature around the base of your neck. It feels really nice against the side of your face, back of your head. You don't get that all sweaty or squeaky or slidey kind of a feeling from it. It's nice that it has that pocket in the back so that you can put an extra layer of clothing just to get a little bit more height. And of course, all important is the strap that holds it on the mattress and keeps it from sliding off and flying away. Two things I think that could be improved with the pillow itself is, number one, make the strap just a little bit longer. It doesn't have to be much, just to get it around a bigger pad like this, especially if you are going to put something else underneath the pillow or inside the back of it. And the other is the valve. While it works well and it's functional, I think that could be improved by having the type of button that locks in the down position and then when you hit it again, locks in the up position. That would just make it a little easier to deflate and put it away in its bag. All right, those are the only comments I have on it. Now, as I mentioned, I'll be putting all the specifications as well as the links to where you can take another look at these in the video description. If you have any comments or questions, then please put those in the comment section. But until next time, get out and explore and take that path less traveled, because it will make all the difference. Bye for now.